Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing a BMW X4. Before we get in this video, I'm going to give a huge shout out and thank you to the BMW of Pleasant Grove, Utah for giving me some time with this X4. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions, just ask for Joe. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 21 around town and then 28 on the highway, with power outputs being 248 horsepower and then 258 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, I like these softer lines that they have here at the top, and you guys can see the BMW logo. And then popping down below, really cool effect with the headlights and the daytime running lights. And then look at the kidney grille here, and I like the, metallic trim around it. I think that looks great. And then you guys can see parking sensors at the bottom. And when I say metallic trim, I should have said more of like a brushed finish. That's kind of a better way to describe it. But anyways, there's the front end. Now coming around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 245, 45, 20 in the front, and then 275, 40, 20 in the rear. And you guys can see here with the wheels completely blacked out, and then look at the fender flares, how those are also blacked out, and I like that trim piece there. And you can see other trim like the bodywork at the bottom, the mirror caps, the door handles, the window trim, all blacked out as well. And when we take a look at the side view, this is where you guys can see that Coupe SUV styling, so it just flows there in the back. Now taking a look at the key fob, you guys can see unlock and lock. We've got this to open up the hatch. Then we've got the M colors there on the side. Now taking a look at the cargo area here in the back, you guys can see that we've got a cargo cover built in from the factory. And you do lose a little bit of vertical space compared to the X3 because of the coupe styling, but it's still very practical from a space standpoint here in the back. And then when you're all done, just plop, and it'll plop down. Now looking at the elements on the back, you guys can see the spoiler there at the top, and then notice how it just kind of like flows and pops up a little bit. And then look at the tail lights here, and then you can see all the badges on the back, and I love the covers over the exhaust tips. Those are cool as well. And putting it all together, let me know what you guys think about the styling here on the X4. Now taking a look at the door panel, you guys can see soft touch here at the top, and look at this trim right there. It looks really nice. And then you got the silver trim down below. Some speakers here for the sound system, and I love the red. That's a cool contrast. And speaking of red, perforated all down the center. Definitely fancy looking. You guys can see there for the seat to move it. Legroom back here is really good. We also got a little storage pocket. Got some vent action here. Our own climate zone, some USBs as well. And we have a cup holder armrest here in the center. Oh, and last but not least, you do lose a little bit of headroom here because of the coupe styling. Now taking a look at the front door panel, you guys can see soft touch here, and then look at the trim down below, and then the red and the black, really cool combination. All of our window controls, you've got your mirror adjustments here. The mirrors do power fold in. Memory seats as well with this, and then blind spot monitoring. And then taking a look at the seats, you guys can see perforated all down the center portion. We've got all of our adjustments here on the side, and look at the pedals there. And we got our light controls right here as well. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, this is BMW's kind of more upgraded M steering wheel. So we've got really nice trim all around, M logo there. And then you guys can see the heat steering wheel button there in the center. But then nice stitching here on the airbag cover. And then practical controls in the front, including our cruise control. Paddle shifters there in the back for the 8-speed automatic. And then you guys can see here at the stalks there in the back as well. Now taking a look at the gauge cluster itself, you can see full digital gauge cluster here. Shows like the nav there on the center, which is pretty cool. And then when you change the drive modes, it actually changes a little bit of a look with the gauge cluster. So kind of cool there. Now here is the camera system. We do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and resolution with this camera system is really solid. Now as for the rest of the infotainment screen, this is BMW's quote-unquote older unit. I'm putting that in quotations because although it's not the newest unit, it still responds really well. It's still really easy to use. You've got the shortcut bar there on the side. So, it's an infotainment system that I like. We've got soft touch here on the dash, and then you guys can see the trim up above. And then notice here with the vents, we also have our controls for the dual zone climate, the heated seats as well. And then you guys can see a little radio control there, and then our radio presets down below. X4 right here, and then we got this little tab that hides the wireless phone charging pad. Got some cup holder action, and then we've got our little control for the infotainment system if you don't want to use the touchscreen. Shifter there for the 8-speed automatic, and then you got your stability control, parking sensors, auto stop start, your engine stop start, drive mode select, hill descent control, auto hold, parking brake as well, all in this little area. And then look at like the stitching and everything here on the side. And then here in the center console, Got plenty of storage space with a USB inside. Nice padding here on the top, and then nice handle for the glove box. But yeah, good storage space there too. And then up top we do have our control here for the panoramic sunroof. Now taking a look at the window sticker, you guys can see 2024 X4. Base MSRP is $55,000, and then this has a few options added to it. After all options, $61,450 is the total MSRP on this X4. Let's sum things up. Talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility of the hood, both the mirrors, do have blind spot monitoring, and throw this to the rear, and well, X4 away. So this is obviously the coupe version of the X3 SUV, and I might be a little bit off in the numbers, but from my knowledge, BMW kind of makes like one coupe for every 20 SUVs or something, or like 10 SUVs or something like that. So like they don't make nearly as many of these coupes as they do with the SUVs, so they're quite a bit rare. But I mean, it makes sense, right? More of a niche product. This is, you know, the person buying this goes, you know, likes the styling more than, you know, the practicality part, whereas the X3 is more about the practicality, with obviously having a little bit more storage space there in the back of it. But we'll get our little acceleration here, see how this engine performs. Wow. So I just drove a 330i before this, and this has, you know, less power than the 330i, and you actually can feel the difference in torque and in horsepower. So there is a difference there. But anyways, back to this. This drives just like an X3. Again, it all comes down to, you know, stylistic preferences. Do you like the coupe styling more, or do you like the SUV styling more, or do you need the SUV practicality, or is the coupe practicality more than enough for you? So that's kind of the big differentiating factor with this. And with this specific one, I really like this combination. Like this trim, I think looks really good, and then the red contrast in here I think looks really good as well. And I actually, you know, I don't mind, I like both BMW setups with the infotainment system and gauge cluster. I know this is technically the older version, but you know, having like physical buttons like for the heated seats right there, I think that's nice for the climate controls, all of that. So, you know, I don't know, I don't have like a preference of one over the other specifically. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the X4, and let me know if you prefer the X4 or if you prefer the X3. And don't you worry, I will be reviewing an X3 2024 in the very near future.